South Africa, who have to find something today, go up another level in terms of play to get top 4.
Just a word on Spain. They scored 1 goal yesterday. 1 goal in 5 games of FIFA. Far too many draws. And I don't know what was going on in the camp. Is actually got Zidane there on the side. Sub him in, get him a game. And I think today I hope to see that there's going to be some changes in that roster, depending on how this first game goes.
We saw lots of changes, didn't we, earlier on? This is, as you're going to see, when the teams come out. So Singapore, Spain, Portugal, Brazil. Portugal taking the world champions. And then Turkey, the table toppers, take on Australia. Group D looks as follows. So just wait to see what Group D are. Here we go. Peru, Israel. Germany take on India. Got a world champion in Umit there. And then Sweden, they're sitting South Africa, who didn't manage to perform like the Goliath team did. Same team did last week.
And 3 of the 4 have done what we sort of expected. I actually thought Israel should have got more points if we're looking at yesterday, so they might regret only coming away with 9. But Peru might be the story in that group, but they've kind of leaned into that 4th place position. South Africa has been struggling. We saw them in E-Club. We built that narrative. We figured they would carry that momentum. They did not. And then India is still in the run of everything. They can make something happen here, and they've already looked better than we saw them last. If we're dating back to other E nations and 2v2s, it didn't really come together. They already have more points, and they're looking a little more dangerous or more likely.
Yeah, Aggie said he didn't know what to expect from the side from Peru, but, well, expect them to be pretty exciting when you get to watch them, and they're about to get ready to come out because all our competing teams this evening are ready and waiting in the wings. Here we go then, this is the final session for all these teams, and Spain walk out onto the arena for first. Big talking point from yesterday, they need to pick up points.
Yeah, certainly do. 1 point from 15 is nothing to be proud of, to say the least there. Next up is Singapore. Some would say a surprise package and definitely a shot of putting through in that Group D.
And then best on paper then, ranked #1 in the world, we have the Brazilians, the defending champions.
Yeah, what a squad that is. 3 fantastic players there.
You just saw in the back there, the Australians come out. They had a bit of stumble there walking onto stage. Don't worry, boys, it's not going to affect your game today. 24th in the rankings.
Israel, keep an eye out for those. 14 goals scored yesterday after agree with what Mike said. 9 points out of 15. They might be disappointed with that, but regardless, there should be a cert to go in that top 4.
Peru then, they held the Germans to a draw and beat the South Africans. Don't sit on the South Americans.
Yeah, India and South Africa make their way to the stage. A very disappointing day 1, but as we said, it's over 2 days. It's a brand new day today.
Well, these guys, they need something big as well, don't they? The side from Portugal, they struggled, to say the least, yesterday, but they have class in their roster, so expect them to mount a comeback.
Yeah, Turkey, the team that stopped England from getting to the E-Nations, top of the table. However, Germany cannot look past this roster. Levy Finn, Dolomite, and the current world champion, Umit. And last but not least, currently 4th as it stands, Olilito, Optole and Olibole. Will we see Olilito a little bit more today if he's feeling a bit better?
Well, I hope so. I'm just having a little look around to see if he looks on better form. He's sitting on the back bench, though, which suggests we're not going to see him up first. Well, that team in front of you worked yesterday, didn't it, Mike? Coming second, same amount of points as Israel. No need to switch things up just yet.
And if you asked either Israel or Sweden, maybe even Germany, if they could duplicate the same form, I think they'd take it. 18 points if you're looking at the top 2, or Germany 16 points. Definitely going to be moving onward and upward, and at the end of the day, we're going to see a full-on reset when it gets into the bracket stage. And I don't know that there is so much favoritism, even though I will say I don't think I'd like to play Argentina. I didn't like what I saw there if I'm going up against them from a competitor standpoint.
Well, big team talk going on there in the Portugal camp. How's the feeling in the Swedish camp, Spencer? And is Olilito back fighting fit? If he's not, don't get too close to him.
Yeah, that's what I'm here to find out. How you feeling? It's a bit better today, but I mean, the boys were playing really well yesterday, so I always said it, when the boys are doing well, you know, I take myself or the team before myself every day of the week, right? So they will start today. Playing South Africa will be tough.
It's a great situation to be in, though, when you've maybe got one player who's not feeling great, when you're top of the group anyway, or joint top of the group. there's no need to change anything, right? And you've got the option of when you feel better coming in. You mentioned you're playing South Africa. They're at the other side of the group. Obviously, they pretty much need to win almost every game to get out of the group now. Does that make them a dangerous opposition for you?
For sure, and even if they didn't have 2 points, I think they are a fantastic side, right? And they came very far in E-Club, for example, so will be very tough and fun game to watch, hopefully.
Good to hear you sounding a bit better today. And the Swedes definitely looking good yesterday. Let's see if they can keep it going today. Right, we're going to head round this way now. Sorry, sir. I want to talk to the guys. They're having a bit of a huddle. We can see this, actually. This is Turkey. Turkey, of course, top of the group in Group C. Perhaps surprisingly, 13 points, unbeaten. Who wants to do the talking? Here we go, sir. So, Turkey, talk to me. 13 points. Did you think that was going to happen when you started yesterday?
Yeah, I think so. I think we are one of the favorites in this group, and still we are the favorites in the group. And I think we can go as first through the knockouts.
Mike was saying that he thinks you've probably already got enough points to get out the groups, even if you didn't pick up any today. With that in mind, have you started to plan ahead and think about who you might play in the knockouts?
Yeah, we did, but we just want to finish as first in the group. We don't care who we play next.
You got a target, because I can tell you that 23 points is the most anyone's got so far in both this and the E-Club World Cup. That was actually Argentina who got it earlier. If you were to beat that, that would be quite impressive. And also, no one's gone an entire group stage without losing a game yet. You could do that as well. Would that mean anything? I know it doesn't get you anything, but it's quite a nice accolade, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a nice target for us, but our first target is to get us first through the groups.
Okay, keep up the good work. Turkey, you can hear the noise kicking off. Teams getting ready to play. Let's get these games underway, shall we, Rachel?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Well, Group D is still pretty stacked, and in that group, we have a side who are ranked 6th in the world. Sitting 5th in that group, it's India. And we got a chance to catch up with this nation earlier on in the week.
All the 40, 50 nations that are in the rankings are really good. So it doesn't matter if you're ranked first or ranked last, like anyone has a chance in this game.
Yeah, there's a few points we need to improve on, of course, like every other team as well. But it's more of the mentality side that I think we need to strengthen. I think we're growing as a nation in esports as a whole.
FIFA is helping football grow, I think, but football is also helping FIFA grow a lot. No doubt cricket is the biggest sport in India, but football is becoming better.
So it's really nice the entire country comes together to support our Indian national team, even in football and in FIFA. Yeah, growing up, I mean, it's always been a dream to play for your country in either a sport or an esport. So to do so is like a huge honor. I mean, we're representing an entire nation of people, so it really means a lot and we're proud to do so.
Well, that Indian side are playing these Germans first up today. It's the same order as they play on day one as well. Germany did get the better of the Indian side, 2-1 it was yesterday. Umit comes in as the world champion. We haven't seen his partner Anders perform at the same level with his national side here today. Mike, do you think the Germans have a slightly better chance from what you've seen compared to the Danes?
From what we saw yesterday, I thought they looked a little bit better.
Ma benvenuti signori a questo.
Critique for Germany as a national team. I think our expectations
Tornati perché oggi è tempo di tutto il calcio, minuto per minuto, con i mondiali di FIFA 2023. Siamo al day 2 di questi gironi e ora dobbiamo vederci lo spettacolo, perché ci sono un bel po' di squadre belle, cattive, che devono qualificarsi. Ecco qua i campioni del mondo in carica, il Brasile. Aspettate che spengo la luce, se no potrei anche morire di caldo. Hola. Oh, ventilatore addosso, come se non ci fosse un domani. Oh, Patrizio, intanto salvo, Johnny, James, Mario, benvenuti a tutti ragazzi, benvenuti. Oh, raga, fa un caldo micidiale. Fa un caldo micidiale, lo possiamo dire. Intanto qua si è partiti, Spagna, Singapore, pronti all'uso. Io sistemo un attimo qui e partiamo tutti, subito raga. Oh, Flavia, l'Italia è qualificata, l'Italia si è qualificata. Caccio Bruin e il buon Dani Pitbull ce l'hanno fatto. Qui le tattiche le faremo a breve. Le faremo a breve. Patri, il tempo che i ragazzi tornano da Riyadh, poi come il coach è disponibile o qualcuno dei ragazzi, le facciamo in live. Però ancora ieri, sono tornato ieri sera. Antonio, benvenuto, grazie mille per il follow intanto. Grazie a tutti quelli che stanno mettendo i like su TikTok, su Facebook, su Twitch. Grazie e benvenuti a tutti, signori. Siamo pronti. Ok, io ho messo tutte le impostazioni. Possiamo vederci lo spettacolo ora. Siamo prontissimi. Attenzione, passa in vantaggio Israele sul Perù col gol del fenomeno 1-0. Così si parte subito. Courtois, colpo di testa ma non arriva a destinazione. Giocando male, raga, io non l'ho vista l'Italia. Ale, buonasera, Rinu, buonasera. Non l'ho proprio vista purtroppo io l'Italia. Sono tornato ora dal lavoro, visto che si sono qualificati e quella è la cosa importante ora. Poi domani si fa sul serio. Tanto il Perù cerca di recuperare, ma viene stoppato subito. Milinkovic-Savic. Palla a Camavinga, gran palla, cambio tutto sul Bellingham. Attenzione dietro per Mbappé, Kila cerca di sfondare, viene bloccato e ricostruisce subito per il Perù. De Bruyne per Virgil. Si riparte dietro con Pogba per Buffon che cambia tutto su Camavinga. Attenzione, Portogallo-Brasile, il big match. Brasile campione in carica. Attenzione. Cambio dalla Germania. Attenzione, 1-0. Si porta avanti con Gigi Buffon la Germania, 1-0 sull'India. L'India prova a costruire subito con Socrates. Henry vuole riacchiapparla. Palla dietro a Becker. Subito Henry. Ma viene battuto in rimessa laterale. Attenzione, si riparte. Singapore e Spagna. Singapore che in attacco. Attenzione. Ma la Spagna recupera benissimo. De Ligt con calma. L'aspetta i suoi. Mbappé. Palla sulla fascia per Roussillon, per Ronaldo. Attenzione, il fenomeno. Cerca l'imbucata centrale. 1-2, rapido. Bellissima azione. Non ce la fa. Attenzione, però c'è Garrincia. 1-0 Spagna. Si porta in vantaggio su Singapore. Grande azione. Garrincia la butta dentro. 1-0. Buffon punta. È la versione mutaforma. Shape Shifter di Buffon. È la versione mutaforma. Quest'anno ci sono carte matte. C'è Cech che è attaccante. C'è Milinkovic Savic, il portiere, che è una bestia. E intanto Israele raddoppia sul Perù 2-0. Il fenomeno. Guidone, eccolo, buonasera. La butta dentro il fenomeno. Si rivada in Germania. Attenzione, Za. Percussione laterale, attenzione, la manda dietro per Klosterman. Dietro per Virgil, Mbappé non riesce a sfondare, si riparte per l'India. Mbappé. Ora andiamo su Israele che ha preso il volo 3-0, è proprio lui, il fenomeno. Art trick 3-0. C'è il quiz del Perù? No, scherzo. Però ci potrebbe stare. Vabbè, ma sono carte del gioco, ci sta, a una certa ci sta. Tanto il Brasile si porta in vantaggio con Kylian Mbappé 1-0, sblocca il risultato sul Portogallo. Questo big match al momento. Vediamo. Militao. Minchia, a me mi viene mal di gola quando conta sta roba. Attenzione, dalla Spagna c'è il raddoppio. Mbappé la butta dentro, 2-0 Spagna. 30° minuto, già sopra di 2 gol la Spagna. Qua si rischia il dilagare. Spagna con Garrincia, scambia con Mbappé, dietro per Loris. Olà, olà e olà. Via. Attenzione, la Spagna continua ad attaccare, non dà pace. Attenzione, che sta succedendo? Palla lunga di Singapore, Ronaldinho la riesce a tenere. Skill incredibile di Digno che riesce a tenere la palla in gioco per Pelé. Di mezzo allo svantaggio lì il Singapore 2-1. Gol di Pelé. No, Pelé, chi è? Mbappé? Ce lo fai rivedere? Ballack, attenzione, il Brasile potrebbe aver raddoppiato con Milinkovic. Savic 2-0 del Brasile. Tanto Sudafrica, anche loro, la Svezia si porta in vantaggio sul Sudafrica 1-0. Gol di Tutti e Henry. Attenzione, sono scatenati tutti ora. India cerca il recupero sulla Germania ma sbaglia il passaggio. La Germania controlla. Attenzione, Za la rischia. Mbappé dietro per Buffon che cambia tutto. Attenzione, nuovo aggiornamento. Chi è? Singapore. Vabbè, l'abbiamo visto in diretta questo. Pelé la butta in mezzo per Mbappé che di mezzo allo svantaggio. 2-1 Spagna-Singapore. Riparte la Spagna con Gigi Buffon alla manovra. Palla per Loris. Manna Buffon, Loris, ragazzi, può vedere, però ci avete ragione. Su questo ci avete assolutamente ragione. È inguardabile vedere Buffon, Loris in questi livelli giocare in in attacco. Onestamente ci avete ragione. Tanto attenzione, Israele sul 4-0 con il Perù che cerca di ripartire con De Bruyne. Dietro, tranquillità. Scambio con Davis, Buffon mette al centro per Pogba, allarga tutto per Militao. Virgil, attenzione. Gol del Israele, ancora 4-0 sul Perù. Ronaldo il fenomeno scatenato, 4-0. Sta dilagando dopo 25 minuti, 4-0 Israele. Olè. Proprio di cattiveria sta andando, Intanto qua Perù-Israele. Il Perù cerca di accorciare la distanza ma continua a sbagliare. Riparte Israele che sbaglia anche lui con Militao che recupera. Palla Mbappé dietro per Militao. 1-2 sempre con Mbappé. Scambiano palla sempre loro due. Virgil, palla a Militao. Continua lo scambio. De Bruyne per Ronaldo. Il Perù è in bambola, raga. Non stanno a smuoversi per niente bene. Devono un attimo ricalibrare la testa quelli del Perù. Un inizio terribile per questo Perù. 4-0 dopo 25 minuti. De Bruyne vuole l'ultima azione, almeno il Perù cercando il gol matto al 45esimo. Gran palla per Henry, attenzione, cerca di entrare in area, palla dietro per Davis. 1-2, rapido. E ce lo perdiamo. La Spagna intanto cerca l'attacco ma il Singapore non molla. Palla di Ronaldinho. Renatino Sanchez. Cambio per Klosterman, allarga tutto. Davide, benvenuto, grazie per il like. La Spagna recupera, riparte subito con Buffon che dietro sta giganteggiando per De Ligt. Loris non forza la giocata, la Spagna ragiona. Attenzione, Roussillon sulla destra, cerca il cross ma Digno ribatte, calcio d'angolo. Attenzione che arrincia dietro per Mbappé che cerca l'affondo ma la dà benissimo per Henry. Attenzione, oh, gran palla ma risposta grandiosa di Van der Sar. Si mantiene il risultato 2-1. La Spagna continua ad attaccare. Calcio d'angolo, battuto malissimo, recupera palla però la Spagna, rimessa laterale. Costretto a partire da dietro con Buffon, dietro De Ligt. Buffon ancora dietro per De Ligt, palla a Klosterman. Henry, attenzione, si invola sulla fascia, crocchettina, palla dietro per Loris che trova l'imbucata in Bellingham ma non controlla bene e si riparte per il Singapore, riconquista palla, cambia tutto per Henry. Renatino Sanchez per Bellingham. Attenzione, aggiornamento. Portogallo, palla dentro per il fenomeno. Calcio d'angolo. Calcio d'angolo per il Portogallo. Sotto di 2-0, ma vuole riaprirla. Andiamo con questa azione se ci riuscirà.
Still leading, still trailing, should I say, 2-0 against Brazil.
Yeah, well, there was one game that was 0-0 for quite some time.
Ronaldo la manda dietro per Musiala. Perché se lo voleva fare sto tiro, perché non l'ha tirato mezz'ora prima? Poi io sono l'ultimo che può parlare, però madonna mia, un pochettino prima la poteva fare. Anche perché il portiere è un po' più fuori era. Dembélé intanto per Klosterman, che dà una bella palla a Milinkovic. Attenzione, aggiornamento. La Svezia, erroraccio in difesa, Mbappé si gira, la butta dentro. 1-1 Sudafrica. Attenzione, Turchia-Australia 1-0. L'Australia avvierà, gran palla per Mbappé. Si gira bene, la mette alle spalle. 1-1, pareggio Turchia. Virgil dentro. E qua il Perù acciuffa il gol della bandiera con Pogba. Giada che l'ami, chi sei Johnny? Vediamo. Attenzione, l'Australia. Fase concitata, attenzione. Kevin, grazie mille per il follow e benvenuto. Oh. Camavinga sulla fascia. Che forte che è Camavinga, raga. Mamma mia. Gullit, attenzione, palla dentro per Ronaldo che non la acchiappa però. Riparte Klosterman. Grande giocata. Col brivido. Riparte Ballack per Mbappé. Palla dietro a Virgil. Gabri, buonasera. Costruiscono ancora con Weissteiger, Buffon. Henry, attenzione, scivola. Cucù cerca di partire ma non trova lo spazio. Henry dentro per Socrates. Virgil la sribatte, attenzione, ma la recupera? No, ancora, palla riconquistata, si riparte subito, istantaneamente. Il Gullit cerca di lanciarlo ma prende l'avversario. Buffon ricostruisce da dietro, subito, per Camavinga. Mbappé, attenzione, cerca l'imbucata, ci riesce a sorpassare l'avversario ma viene recuperato. Dietro per Camavinga, attenzione. Loris, gran palla per Gullit che cerca di affossare ma non va, calcio d'angolo. Attenzione, highlight. C'è il golletto del Portogallo? Assolutamente sì. Titi e Henry la butta lì, devono battere il sole. 2-1 per il Brasile. Accorcia le distanze il Portogallo. Tanto si riparte tra Svezia e Sudafrica. Manovra d'attacco del Sudafrica con Virgil. Palla dietro per Vieira. Cambia tutto per Hakimi. Ancora Vieira, manovra con calma. Vuole l'ultima azione, ce l'hanno in mano. Vieira per Virgil. Ottimo per Pelé che allarga tutto per Hakimi sulla fascia. Attenzione, può provare la percussione. Fa apparire e risparire la palla con una magia. Virgil, gran palla per Pelé. Attenzione, Mbappé si porta in vantaggio. 90esimo, Sudafrica. 2-1 Sudafrica, attenzione, kick off. Niente, non va. La Svezia rinvia ed è finita qui. Sudafrica si porta a casa sta partita al 90esimo. Tanto Singapore in svantaggio di un gol con la Spagna. C'è l'ultima azione ma perde palla. Pogba, difesa sguarnita, attenzione Rashford, perde palla ma la recupera Mbappé, attenzione, può provare la percussione o perdere tempo in vista del 90esimo. Perderà tempo in vista del 90esimo, fa benissimo. Non vuole prendere rischi la Spagna, si vuole portare a casa questo risultato determinante. La butterà fuori? Attenzione, ultima azione, gli dà la giocata finale. Andrea, Massi, Davide, grazie mille per il like, benvenuti. Tanto grazie anche su TikTok, la Spagna affonda. 3-1, 3-1, ottimo. Tanto Germania, India 1-0. L'India cerca l'affondo finale. Contropiede di Bruno Fernandes. Ah, brutta palla, recupera Cech, attenzione. Può partire, siamo all'85esimo. Bella palla per Mbappé che se la allunga un po' troppo, va a Klosterman. Virgil allarga tutto per Cech. Bella palla per Mbappé che attenzione la tiene lì. La tiene lì, non vuole rischiare la giocata, ma attenzione, sbaglia la Germania. Riparte l'India con Mbappé. Attenzione, Digno. Ah, skill sbagliata, recupero di Camavinga, che ora cercherà di perdere tempo. Siamo all'89esimo, ma la recupera l'India ancora. Tiro matto di Digno, ma Van der Sar c'è. La tiene lì. Siamo al 91esimo e non si prende rischi. Se la porta a casa la Germania 1-0.
Especially with the virtual Bundesliga, they're practicing all year. So then it comes down to who works the best together, who likes each other the most, who has the time to practice, who's going to give you the best opportunity to achieve greatness.
Allora, fatemi solo vedere una roba.
Very quickly disagree and say I think it's plus one. I think Ummert's a world champion. He's just won the Club World Cup. You have to find someone who accompanies him the best, and that's the question. I don't think you're looking for.
That's still 2 spots.
I think one
still makes my point valid.
One spot and a sub.
Well, you still want to have the depth, don't you? Compared to possibly, like we were saying about Israel, there's only those 3 top players. You want to have choice in these national sides because obviously all these sides want success and to also breed the next generation of players to come through in years to come and have the same success that we see here this year.
L'Italia la rappresenta Caccia, O'Brun e Dani Pitbull. Io non farei nessuno dei due, Lore, né Zola né Aubameyang, onestamente. Non farei nessuno dei due, sincero, Li eviterei. Niente di speciale a nessuno dei due. Fabri, grazie mille per il like, benvenuto. Vediamo se ci fa vedere i prossimi match. Evitateveli Spagna-Singapore. No, non l'hanno aggiornati ancora, grandi, così vi voglio. Zola, raga, a meno che non sei un mostro delle skill, evitatevelo abbondantemente. Sinceramente me li eviterei abbondantemente. Secondo me non sono niente di che, raga. Aubameyang manco col 99 di... Col 99 di velocità, Aubame. Se lo vuoi fare moment, ci stava a farlo 99. Per la 5 o il PC o Next Gen comunque non è nemmeno lengthy, quindi evitatevelo abbondantemente. Il maestro è l'allenatore, sì, gli fa l'allenatore. È il coach Hollywood. Gli fa da coach. Quanto è importante il 90esimo avere palla. Vedete quante partite vincono così? Gli mortacci loro.
Like it a lot. 5 points now. You've got 4 games left. You need to win them all, or maybe 3 of them.
That's the goal, I think. Take it game by game, obviously. But the goal is to win every single game. We're going to give everything for our country and our people back home.
Love it. I love the passion. They just beat a team in Sweden that was unbeaten, so they can beat anyone. What that tells us, South Africa could still make it out this group.
Mi è uscito qualcosa di bello, raga.
India next as well, so could take another big 3 points for the South African duo there. I'm just going back
Vediamo
to
che è
what the
uscito,
Australians
va.
said as well. They said they
Signor
want
Luca,
one more
buonasera.
win and then they want some draws. Would that make it 3 more draws? So they think they
Niente,
can get
Vierà.
through with 13 points. And I'd probably say they're correct there as well.
Ah, ecco perché Nunes ci sarà il prossimo level up. Nunes secondo me può essere una bella carta. Level up Nunes. Guarda, ti dico la verità, pure io ultimamente è un mesetto che ci sto giocando veramente poco. Bla. E mo oramai mi sto divertendo più che altro. Sto giocando a divertirmi. Pure la VL, sono 2 volte che manco la finisco, quindi fatti conto. Ma ci sta, ogni tanto ragazzi, bisogna pure mollare. Ogni tanto sta da mollare sto gioco, se no muori.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about Spain then, because we said they only got 1 goal all day yesterday. They got 2 today in their first round of fixtures, and because they got some goals, they got Alex B.
Ma non è uscito niente, quindi.
Alex, perfect way to
Icone,
start.
Vierà
Spain doing your
93.
Very well in that game that we just saw, picking up their first victory.
93. Ma 93 non era quello che si faceva con gli obiettivi, raga. O era 92 quello là? No, era 93.
The big thing for Spain has made a big difference in this game is about getting in.
Via.
It's one of the hardest areas for you to penetrate on FIFA. That right there, everyone knows at home it's so difficult to get into. So how do you actually do that? Well, you need to get in between the lines of the midfield and the defense.
McAllister moment, l'asso lo sta. L'asso lo sta.
You can see how Singapore, with their players that they have in the middle, they think it's going to go back into that top.
Però aspettate che ve lo faccio vedere, va.
If you can be quicker with the ball at your feet, look for the direct pass to go straight into.
Ah no, c'è i giocatori da scartare, aspettate, ora ve lo faccio vedere.
That's exactly what Neat and Andoni did. That first time ball into Mbappe. And you know if Mbappe is in that area, you can take that touch, that time.
Madonna caldo, ragazzi, crepa.
That's exactly how they did it, Rachel. Back over to you.
No, c'è un pacchettino interessante, ragazzi. Raga, che cosa ho mandato al club? Raga, che cos'era quella carta? Non ho visto che cazzo di carta era. Che carta era, raga? Ho visto un'immagine strana o sono i miei occhi che hanno flashato male? Ah, ok. Ok. Allora. No, ho visto malissimo. Ho avuto un flash brutto allora. Ho visto semplicemente un brutto flash. Eh sì, andiamo a vedere, perché mo sono curioso. Ho visto una flashata male, come se era un'icona, però non credo mai nella vita che era un'icona. Non ci credo mai nella vita. Fammi vedere. Non ci voglio mai credere che ho fatto che era un'icona e l'ho mandata via. Più recente? No, era Ramsdale, dai, niente, no, era Ramsdale, dai. 82. Placa l'aveva detto, però ho flashato male, non so perché. Ma però aspettate, faccio così. Ok, rimozione sfondo. No. Vabbè, ciao. Niente rimozione. Via. Apriamo questo e andiamo a Thiago Silva, ma dietro c'è qualcosa? Perché dichiarazione di copyright se... Su TikTok dichiarazione di copyright, che cazzo?
one issue here and there. They didn't have the creativity, they didn't get into the dangerous
Vediamo.
locations, they didn't have the quick passing, they didn't change the tempo of the game. Defensively, possession-wise, they were okay, but offensively, there's not a lot of positives from yesterday.
Non ci vuoi ma inizia, maschio. Dai.
Game, not full of confidence, playing against
Oh, si riparte con Singapore, Portogallo. Ce ne vediamo un'altra sicuro proprio. Attenzione, Davis. Per De Bruyne, palla dietro, per Militao. De Bruyne è quello nuovo? Mi sa proprio di sì. Ce l'avranno sbloccato allora.
Not surprised, he's probably the more defensive of the three. He's brought in when you need to see a game out and you need that sort of element of leadership in the team.
Guardate che me lo abbasso un pochettino questo, perché sennò non vedo manco io.
Offensively they've been lackluster.
I don't want to be a broken record.
Davis, attenzione, il Singapore è questo. Il rosso. Ok. Vai, il Portogallo con Klosterman. La passa a Militao. Dietro per Musiala, che cambia tutto. Su Pelé, no, Davis. Ma finché non acchiappo tutti i giocatori. Bellingham. Per Militao. Subito a Musiala. La De Bruyne, attenzione, allarga per Davis. 1-2 con De Bruyne. Bel varco, attenzione, De Bruyne, si crea il varco per il passaggio dietro a Bellingham. Attenzione, aggiornamento, Turchia-Spagna 0-0, iniziata ora. Seb, buonasera. Roussillon, subito per Mbappé. Vedremo spesso questo scambio secondo me. Garrincia per Bellingham, attenzione, gira tutto. Per Roussillon. Dietro, palla per Loris, attenzione, Bellingham cercherà l'imbucata su Henry. 1-0. Bella azione Spagna che si porta in vantaggio sulla Turchia, 1-0. Si era mosso molto bene Henry, ragazzi, si era mosso troppo bene Henry. Ripartiti intanto. Attenzione, highlight, chi si porta in vantaggio? Attenzione, la Germania, il erroraccio del Perù, che oggi non è in campo assolutamente. Dopo la batosta di prima, parte malissimo regalando un gol alla Germania, 1-0. Perù intanto però la vuole riprendere, erroraccio del fenomeno, riparte subito la Germania. Palla dietro a Buffon. Attenzione, highlight, chi si porta in vantaggio? Singapore in vantaggio con Pelé che buca la porta. Vantaggio Singapore. Intanto ancora Sudafrica in vantaggio sull'India 1-0. Zizou la sblocca. Singapore, Portogallo. Inatteso vantaggio del Singapore sul Portogallo che dovrà ora riagguantare la partita. Si parte con Klosterman. Subito Davis. La fa girare bene, attenzione. Per Henry. Allarga benissimo per Davis che non ce la fa e va. Calcio d'angolo. No, anzi no, rimesso al fondo. Singapore ora deve tenere questo risultato. Alquanto inaspettato al momento, però ci sta. Oh là. Israele si porta in vantaggio sulla Svezia 1-0. Kylian Mbappé. Allargatona sulla destra per Zaha, dentro per Mbappé. Aveva provato ma non va Kylian. Calcio d'angolo, attenzione, nuovo aggiornamento. Highlight, chi si porta. Attenzione, la Svezia subisce il raddoppio. Israele scatenato, 19esimo, 2-0 per Israele. Con gol di Bellingham. Raddoppio Israele. Scatenato Israele. Tanto la Spagna che conduce 1-0 sulla Turchia.
end of the day, you got to get the results to earn some of that airtime.
Camavinga subito per Mbappé, cerca l'ingresso in aria, si gira Camavinga, Gullit, Ronaldo, non riesce l'appoggio, riparte subito la Spagna. Le furie rosse ripartono da Klosterman che la dà a Henry, palla al centro per Bellingham, Loris cambia tutto. Bello cambio campo subito per Klosterman. Se ne va fuori dalla porteria. La Turchia cerca ora di ripartire da Loris, palla per Gullit, allarga benissimo per Frank de Jong, calcio d'angolo Turchia, 45esimo, può succedere di tutto, lo sapete, è il minuto matto ora. Cerca l'imbucata del fenomeno, ma riconquista un calcio d'angolo, anzi no, la partita finisce qui, primo tempo, 1-0, Spagna se ne va nello spogliatoio con un vantaggio di 1-0. Intanto Svezia, Israele, 2-0 per Israele, con la Svezia ora che deve costruire, attaccare per questi ultimi 15-13 minuti del primo tempo, ma attenzione, si sblocca ancora il risultato. Germania va al raddoppio contro il Perù, Ronaldo, crocchettina, tiro e gol, 2-0. Comunque crocchette e tiro, signori, è quasi scienza che è gol. È quasi scienza che è gol. Attenzione, ma si è chiuso la live su Facebook? Sor Maria, buonasera. Perché si è chiusa la live su Facebook? Ma che cazzo. Vediamo. Oh, ha rinnovato il Sor Mariano, grazie mille, bello mio. Grazie mille per la sub. Sono 9 mesi. 9 mesi di prepotenza, grazie mille, bello mio. È nato, è nato.
I don't see another nation right now. Maybe Argentina. I think they might match up quite nicely. I can't count on one hand how many nations.
But Rich, we know what happens tomorrow. If a couple of teams hold them to a draw, how good are Israel at penalties? Because we saw a lot of matches go to penalty shootouts last week.
Be completely honest. I think they blitz a lot of teams.
I'm going bigger on that blitz because they're Group D, they're going to play Group
Mi hanno
B.
bannato di nuovo, perché non ce la faccio più.
There's no one in Group B that's beating Israel in
Io non ce la posso fare più.
They match up real nicely until the brackets cross over and you start playing teams from Group A and C, and that's where potentially they might come unstuck. But there's still a long way to go. They're going to go through the groups, but you never know what might happen overnight.
Well, Robbie said earlier, he said, look, Brandon, look, we top this group, we play Italy, or we come second, we play Finland. But he sat there and went, some people might favour that Finland side. He says that they're both going to be different.
Arrivo subito, raga.
Italy should be fearful if Israel were going to be topping the group like this.
I actually think Italy's a more predictable game. You know what you get? Finland, you're going to get a lot of crosses. You're going to get a lot of balls to the back post. You're going to get a lot of headers. That's almost a more difficult game. Whereas with Italy, I think you pretty much go toe and toe. And Israel, in my eyes, from what we've seen from Italy so far, probably come on top out of that 9 out of 10 times.
It's hard to say. If you haven't watched Finland play, I suggest you rewatch some games, but they have a little bit of a different approach to playing FIFA. A lot of route one, lobbing the ball forward, again, looking for those knockdowns, playing a lot of percentage play. It's clever, it's strategic, it's definitely programmed and planned, and it worked for them really well earlier today.
Brazil, big chance, ball bouncing around the box, still 0-0 in this one. Australia certainly know how to see out a game in a drawing scenario.
But to Rich's point, they're not necessarily following the rules of FIFA goodness, and that can lead to some unpredictable nature. You might come out there for Israel and crush them, but they might disrupt what you've been doing because it's not a normal team, a little more unorthodox, and it's probably not what you've experienced in some of your practice games, some of your online developments, and so forth and so on.
I mean, I know they're not here in England, but we've seen many times in England have faced Israel in group stage and qualifiers. Israel were just that bogey team that you don't want to come up against because they always give you a ridiculous game.
You know, you look at the Australia side, and they just said they wanted about 13 points to go through. Do you look at that as well and kind of go, well, that could sit them in fourth? Have they not looked at Group A and who they'd come up against if they were sitting in fourth, Argentina? Do you not look ahead and kind of go, oh my God, I need more than just one win because I do not want to play Nicholas and Matthias Bonanno?
I don't know if you do. I think the number one aim for Australia is just get out the groups.
Maybe they should then, Rich. If they want to progress a little bit further. Again, I'm not taking anything away from Australia. I'm giving a lot to Argentina.
Well, they've got a bigger problem right now, Australia, because the idea was to win the next game, but it's not looking that way as Brazil.
They're having a few South American woes already.
Yeah, have taken the lead in this game. Little jockey and a dummy all the way through. 25 minutes left in that one. Brazil lead by a goal to 0. Keep in mind, they are the current E-Nations Cup holders.
We can say then with these guys, because Germany have had a lot of success so far in Riyadh. Well, I should say a German team, and now a German nation is looking to back that up. And if that was to happen, guys, if a German club could win last week and then the German national side was to win this week, it again just cements the fact that we said there's a lot of talent coming out of Germany.
Let me paint a picture with Peru here. Coming into the day, 6 points. Let's assume that Germany sees us out. They're up 2-0. You've got South Africa, you've got India in striking distance. If you're Peru, you've got to win those matchups today. If you want to have a chance here, you've got to take points off the teams that are around you. Otherwise, not only are they going to be surpassed, they're going to be dealing with the very much so informed, rejuvenated, motivated, confident-speaking Bianchi leading South Africa. That South Africa looks like they're poised to make a run.
Absolutely, as we just join this match here in a celebration, and it's an Israeli celebration. They lead 3-0 against me. Just looking at the pictures at face value, quite a dejected Swedish camp right there.
Yeah, lots going wrong for them. We were really bigging them up, and they were on the same level of points as Israel after yesterday. Teams just turning up the heat a little bit on day 2.
In defense, we've still been building that Israel's been the leader in that group, even if the points said a different story at the end of day 1. And it's kind of showed today in that regard.
Spain are moving.
Yeah, Spain are moving as well. I think Germany's edging out some points here, maybe creating a little bit of a degree of separation, moving into that second position. Sweden, if they don't fix it, could be in a scenario where they're kind of battling for fourth, because we got to look at South Africa. They're starting to have that little extra cushion. You can feel the energy's different, the ambiance is different, the confidence. There's a certain aroma of FIFA wins coming through when they're speaking, certain level of composure and almost responsibility for the nation. When Bianchi spoke to Spain, he said, I got to do this for South Africa.
Well, they made history last week, didn't they? The fact that the first South African team to get to the Club World Cup finals. And they just, I think they realised they did a lot wrong yesterday and need to right those wrongs. And they look more relaxed. They were going to enjoy it, Mike.
And if they don't right those wrongs, this overshadows the good E-Club that they have. That's the issue.
They want to motivate more players, don't they, in their region and in South Africa as well. And getting some good results here does just that.
They also knew that they underperformed massively in their own performances. India inside the box, get an equaliser. Twisting and turning. In South Africa, frustration.
Lovely outside Elastico. Creates a little bit of a lane of space. We did all that building for South Africa, and now they're in another one of those scenarios they're going to have to chase back. And then also, if India can nip this game at the end, puts them in a whole different competitive spirit going forward. We're still pretty early on if you're looking at Group C, you're looking at Group D, but it is day 2, and everything starts to be under that magnifying glass.
Well, a team that aren't necessarily under that magnifying glass. So Germany, they don't need to be. Peru possibly do. A lot of work to do. Aggie was going, I didn't know much about them. They're doing quite well, aren't they? Sitting in that 4th and automatic spot at the moment. Let's go over then to big matchup. Well, a big matchup for the Australian side. Said they wanted a win. That is slipping through their fingers at the moment, as they do face the defending champions here.
Yeah, not going to plan, is it, for Australia? They look like they could be under the magnifying glass very soon. If they can't pick up any more points. This is live footage now from the game. 77 minutes on the clock, Brazil in the driving seat.
Also haven't checked in on it recently, but we've still got Spain 1-0 over Turkey. And that's important. 84th minute, they see this out. Big upset just based on form and back-to-back wins now.
Newsflash, Israel are still scoring goals. There's been some more news over in this game potentially. 85 minutes on the clock. This is massive for Spain. Minutes away, seconds away of real-life time. From 6 points from 6 on day 2 of the tournament. They were rock bottom of the group coming into day 2 with 1 point from 15. Now they'll sit on 7. People might start taking them a little bit more seriously.
Just starting to join the conversation. That's all they're doing. There's no sort of aspirations really yet. I don't think they even probably think, yeah, we're in a good position now. They're just taking one game at a time, one win at a time, and just adding that little bit of pressure on the people around them. Because yesterday they were out the conversation. Now the invite's been sent.
Well, it's Portugal, isn't it, who they're putting the pressure on?
Who can't buy a win at the minute. Portugal, we've not checked in a little while. 81st minute, still trailing against Singapore as we see the closing moments of Brazil versus Australia here. And Australia probably starting to get dragged into those conversations as well.
I think the issue we got from Portugal as well is, you know, we said about Tuga sitting on the bench and Jafonso and Rodrigo being in the driving seat, but they're still not creating enough chances. They're not creating any real goals in day 2 here.
And they're conceding.
Yeah, I don't love this. I don't love this Tuga on the bench. It doesn't make sense to me. He's the most experienced, most successful player that you have.
Well, let's go into that matchup, which doesn't actually include Tuga at the moment, Mike, but it possibly should.
Tuga's got to be there. You see Singapore, this is huge for them. A little early goalkeeper movement, scores it on the near post, wraps that game up really 2-0. They're going to see that out. And Portugal now is going to be at the bottom of Group C. And again, they're running out of time. And when you have a player with that much experience and he's got the leadership quality, he's got to be playing. I don't care about form or if he struggled a little bit in E-Club. That man's got to be controlling the action.
I'm sure he will after this because they are now at the bottom and they can't afford to be there for very long, Brandon.
No, they can't be, especially, as you said, the Tuga sitting on the sidelines. Just Israel making it 5 goals. So that's a full-time result now, by the way. Sweden looking a little bit worse for wear. A chance of Portugal comes in.
I think Portugal's in a position, too, where they not only, I don't think they can afford any draws. They have to win out now. They're at 5 points. Yeah, the 9 there hits them at 14, just based on what's already happened in this group. I think they need all those points to progress.
And you know who they play next? Spain. Portugal, Spain. It's get the Oxford Dictionary up, look up 6-pointer, and you'll see a picture of this game.
You understand what I'm spitting. I'm just looking at results here. Turkey on 14, Brazil on 14, seeing out this game. Singapore, when they close out with Portugal, on 10. You got 3 teams in double digits, and you got 3 teams not quite there yet. You're at that point. If you're not in that position, you have to win out if you want the 4th slot.
Quick question. Why could Sweden not find anything back against Israel this time out? Yesterday, they held them to a draw. 5-0 today.
Good on them. I'm telling you, Israel should have had more points yesterday.
Yeah, but Sweden obviously played well yesterday.
If you've played a lot of FIFA, it can be a landslide rather quickly. You go down a couple goals. In order to forge that comeback, you have to take that risk, and you're going to concede goals. Would you rather lose 2-0 or go for it and maybe lose by 4 or 5?
Well, hold that thought, Richard Buckley. I can see you're about to answer Mike's question, but Spen has some more interviews. Spen, I can't see who's behind you. Who have you got?
I have got the guys from Singapore with me here. Just picked up a big win against Portugal. They're into the double figures club now, 10 points. How many more do you need to secure progression?
I think we need 3 more points. That would secure qualification to the next round. Hopefully we are going to continue this form. Portugal was a tough game. I think the 3 points was very big for us, and hopefully we can secure enough points to go to the next round.
And would you take that now if someone said to you, look, I can guarantee you 4th place, you get through, or are you aiming a bit higher than that?
I'll just take it and go now.
Take it, take 4th place. I like the honesty. Listen, keep up the good work, guys. You're doing very well. 10 points so far for Singapore. We're going to head down the stairs now. I want to talk to the guys from Peru who've suffered back-to-back losses today. which leaves them on 6 points, but in a group where there's still time to get out of it. You've got India on 5 points, South Africa on 6 as well, so plenty of time. Hi there. So, back-to-back losses so far today. What do you need to change?
Now we're going to talk about the next matches. There are a lot of points going on. There are 9 points, so everything is open. Nothing's closed yet.
And you're obviously looking at the group, there's other teams that are on less points than you still, so you're still in a good position to progress.
Yeah, we know about that, but I think we can even get farther in the group.
Are we seeing any change up with your squad selection? You making any substitutions?
No, we're feeling comfortable with our picks. I think it's all about tactical change.
Okay, best of luck in the next game. We've heard from Peru there as well as Singapore. Let's see what happens in the next matches.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, Peru and Singapore very much still in with a chance of making it through to those knockouts tomorrow, and maybe they can learn a thing or two from Alex B, especially the team from Peru, because Alex is talking about Germany and they are in their group. Alex, what have the Germans been doing so well?
Well, they've very quietly been going against the radar. They've just been scoring goals, they've been performing, doing exactly what they need to do. So we're going to take a look and see how Umit and Levy are doing that. In this first goal that we are going to see, Germany, they just have that little bit of time. It's all about Mbappe drawing in that defender. The defender is now completely out of position. So take a little look at the man of R9, who's going to have that run and that time to go and run towards the box. He has that ability to drive. Now, he's a little bit isolated. He's kind of by himself here. He hasn't really got numbers with him. So it's all about what can you do, Levy? What can you do, Umit, in this area? Drawing in that man, and this is the position where the magic happens. You think about this at home. What are you thinking the opponent's going to do here? The little bit of the shimmy to look for the step over, you would normally go position. But it's all about duking out that opponent. The step over is just a feint to go the same way on that left foot, trusting R9. And it wasn't just that where we saw brilliant work done as well. We jump over to the game between Brazil and Australia. We're going to see something very different on this side. Klosterman is just going to drive into the space out on this right wing. If you can bring your fullbacks up into that area, you're going to give yourself so much more time and freedom to try and work up against that defence. The left mid doesn't stay all that way, and then Mbappe says, thank you very much, I'm going to have that space. This is the left back who is now out of position. Mbappe can say, look at this, I can go in towards that byline area and give myself all the time in the world. Now, Australia are wary of this. They're looking at it and going, okay, well, you want to pass to this man. And this is where PH Sin and Resende go, okay, we'll use that as bait, the step overs, that extra pass off across, and that is going to be one of the most loveliest goals you'll see, just time and composure from that Brazilian team. Over to you, Rachel.
Thanks, Alex, and that's why he used to be called the FIFA analyst, because he does stuff like that, and he does it very well as well. So thank you very much, Alex. I think that's, it's great, isn't it, to see the intricacies that each team do actually put out on display to just find the back of the net time and time again. And we saw it from two world champions there, Germany and Brazil. I mean, which one of those two, Mike, do you have in your locker a bit more?
I've been backing Brazil, so I'm going to stick strong to what I said at the start of the competition. But Germany's looking good. I'd love to see them make a run. Like, we keep talking about it, but it's one of those nations that comes into all the discussions. We talk about FIFA and esports, and I just don't think they've done what they should have done up to this point in the 2v2, at least not on this stage.
Germany, I'm going to say, are a little bit of better side yesterday as well. What do you think they've found to come out performing more like world champions today?
Oh, good question.
Because I feel they have, right?
Probably maybe sticking with the roster that they tried out yesterday. I mean, they mixed it around quite a bit yesterday. Dolomite came in more than we've seen. I think one thing on the Germany conversation as well, they've never really had a good E-Nations. And it's crazy to say, we sat there in FIFA 19 and Megabit and Mo Alba got grouped in FIFA 19. Last year wasn't that great even for their own standards. I feel like they've got a lot to catch up on.
That's what I was kind of getting to, is that for a nation that has such success stories in the FIFA esports ecosystem, it hasn't really happened on the biggest of stages, not in the 2v2s.
We have tended to last week as well, and he knows now what success tastes like, and when you've had that taste of success, you want it even more. Well, two teams that have had success in the past, but aren't experiencing that same level this time out as Spain and Portugal, currently sitting 5th and 6th. They're meeting each other in this next round. This one's tasty. It wasn't, though, tasty yesterday, was it?
I was just going to say, before Richard has his point, I was looking through the games yesterday. Round 3 yesterday, you had 3 0-0s.
Boring, boring, boring.
How is that
Sorry.
ever happened?
It's very different, though, today, because Spain have come and they know what they have to do. It's very simple. Win. Win outright. If you can pick up performances and pick up wins, you have a chance to go through. And they've been scoring. They scored 1 goal yesterday. Today, it's been a very different story. The opening game against Singapore, they came out flying as they go into the second round and the second game. Again, just a different story. Mike, you've played in many a FIFA tournament. Do you ever have such drastic day 1 and day 2 performances? What's changed overnight? Because it's night and day.
It happens, and look at these goals. Do I see a bunch of skill moves? I don't. It's direct. They're making quick passes, and they're being decisive, and you need that if you want to have these types of success stories in competitive FIFA, and that's something that we did not see yesterday. They didn't put their opponents under pressure. They're probably going for a little bit too much of the perfect goal, the perfect pass, the perfect skill. We talked about it a little bit. Sometimes Neat gets carried away with that too because he's so talented. You'll see too many cancellations, too many extra skill moves, too many flicks and tricks and swerves and curves, but today they're keeping it simple and they're getting the results that are necessary, and they're starting to build a little bit of some momentum, and they could do it. I can't believe it, but they could do it. They're halfway there already. I said they need at least 4 wins. They got 2 of them.
Well, we saw Portugal and Tuga sit out yesterday. We kind of said, was that because you were going up against Andoni? Andoni said, no, it wasn't, of course. But we keep calling for Tuga to be in now. Are we going to see that switch happen in this fixture, this one today?
The only time I've seen Tuga get subbed in mid-game was when they were 2-0 up in a match yesterday in their second round. He came on for a Tuga-esque, let's see the game out performance. I don't know why he hasn't been featured before that. Again, round 3, it could all change.
He has to rally the troops. You just got to get this team going. Believe in the style of play, believe in the nation. They're not going to need any extra incentive from Tuga, but if he's the one to be the catalyst, you've got to play from here on out.
And use him, hey, for your advantage if you are Portugal over Spain. He knows how Andoni works there, so surely you can find something going head-to-head with that Spanish side, which does, of course, have Andoni and Neat in it, who have very much got themselves back in contention to get a knockout spot for tomorrow. This are the 2 teams we've been talking about.
He's playing.
He's back in.
Tuga's in the hot seat of Jafonzo.
That's exactly what he called for. He wanted to see it. They need him to play his best FIFA now, don't they, Team Portugal and Tuga?
This is their season. That would be back-to-back group exits for Tuga. And if they don't win this game against Spain, I don't think there's enough points available for them.
No, they're sitting on 5, aren't they? And Australia, well, Australia on 7, aren't they, Mike?
Let's say they lose this game. We'll just play the hypothetical game, the permutation game, as Rich loves. They win the next 2, they're on 11 points. I don't think 11 gets you out of this group. That's where I'm sitting, because I already look at 14 with Turkey, 14 with Brazil, 10 with Singapore, and then you got 7, 5, 7. I just don't think there's enough points. You have to win this game.
You need Australia and Singapore, who are playing right now, to draw as well. If you've got any hope of Spain, Portugal getting out of this group, you have to have a draw. If Australia or Singapore, one of those 2 nations, win in this next game, it becomes ever more difficult.
Should we have
Portugal and Spain are underway?
Should we have predictions? Which one is going to get out? I'm saying one of them is going to get out, Spain or Portugal.
Well, I know Spain is backed by Richard, so I'm guessing he's off that way. I'm going to say I'll join him. I'll join Spain.
See,
I'm just going against that couch. Let's go ahead and make this more difficult, Portugal, because they got to win out. They haven't looked that impressive, but I'm not sitting on the couch to agree with Rich and Brandon right now. So we'll go against them. We'll make it interesting. But they have a lot to work on, a lot to showcase, and they haven't looked that impressive today. That's the reality. I'm going against the grain.
Well, here we go, underway. This is going to be our featured game, and we're going to stick on this as much as we possibly can. Australia and Singapore. Also, a very important fixture in Group C. Whoever wins this game starts to pull away from the rest. Group D has a little bit of a story starting to take shape in the form of South Africa.
You'll be able to hear the shouts of Bafana from South Africa. They do lead by a goal to nil. 15 minutes on the clock against Peru.
I love that. Love that goal.
Start.
By stopping the ball there, it makes it where it's more of a 50-50 with the skill moves, and it also puts you in such a dangerous position offensively because your opponent kind of has to do some sort of guess and check, and you have all the creative freedom you could ask for, and South Africa is free-flowing, and Peru has been crumbling today.
And as much as I love South Africa, I'm sure they'll be great throughout this tournament. Whenever we can, Portugal, Spain is where we want to be. We have had another goal. Well, let's have a quick look between India and Sweden. Sweden have been in free fall today. They've really struggled to get anything going. Is it now time to turn their group standings around? Unfortunately for Swedish FIFA fans, it is not. India 1-0 up.
Olilito is in the hot seat now as well for Sweden. There's been a change there. We said after 2 defeats, surely there has to be. India win this game. They go to 8 points. South Africa and Peru both on 6 points as it stands right now. Are Sweden being dragged in to this battle near the bottom half now?
Yes. The answer is definitely yes, isn't it? They're still only on single figures, 9 points, and they won't gain any if they. Well, I know it's a long way to go, 25 minutes on the clock. But if the result stays like it is, and Peru, well, they are down, aren't they, to South Africa? But if South Africa could jump and be equal on Sweden with 9 points, that's how it could be. So dragged into it, not to worry just yet. And Olilito is back in, so maybe they're going to have a bit more confidence there if he is 100%. Big if.
It's still early, but you need points in that game if you're Sweden. I'm looking at some of their upcoming matches. Also, Israel on 15, Germany on 14. They're pulling away. They're solidifying their position. And now it's kind of a battle between the other 4 nations for those additional 2 spots, or the remaining 2 spots.
And that'll be the first real shock exit of the FIFA Nations Cup as well. This afternoon session, Group A and B, all 8 nations we pretty much predicted going through. There was a bit of a toss-up between Finland and the USA. It's a shock to Michael Bell, it's not a shock to us. I think Finland, when I was speaking to Tuga actually earlier, he said a lot of the European nations are going through, and that's just through the sheer level of competition that people have to play in Europe, week in, week out, in the qualifiers and in the friendlies that a lot of nations do play in. That's why it's such a big surprise that Sweden are starting to stutter here. They were to be eliminated, a semi-finalist last year at the FIFA Nations Cup. Big shock, as well as one of Portugal or Spain.
Well, and just Olilito and some of his personal success. We've seen E-Prem with Stokes, which is something you could bring into the equation. It's not quite the traditional 2v2 setup. You've also got the likes of him and Levy, back-to-back semi-finalists if you're dealing with the E-Club, also winning EA Sports Cup earlier this year. When you look at 2v2 pairings and Olilito as being a partner in those types of pairings, there's a lot of success stories there.
He's a good duo. He's a good 2.
He can clearly be adaptable. He can be a leader. He can pivot as needed amongst different styles of players, because both Ali Bali and Abtali are not similar when you're looking at what they generate on the virtual pitch. Ali Bali being a lot more structured, Abtali being that creative maestro type.
I was going to say we could jump into Australia, Singapore. It's almost at half-time. That's obviously a vital game as well in this Group C, because they are the 2 teams that would go out if Portugal or Spain had a bit of a resurgence there. 0-0 then.
Are we
after
surprised?
45 minutes.
All
no.
3 games are 0-0.
No.
It's exactly what happened yesterday. I thought there might have been a couple of goals for the simple fact that there needs to be goals. Draws don't help Portugal or Spain. A draw doesn't help really Australia or Singapore at this stage either.
I guess quite intrigued about the Germany-Israel game as well. They're 0-0, and those 2 are top of the table in their group respectively. Israel still leaves Germany by a point, I believe it is. We're talking about Israel being so good. Well, we've got to talk about Germany now in the same breath then, don't we?
Most definitely. I mean, what they played yesterday, what was a difficult match between the 2 teams. They drew 1-1. The game's heading that same similar way at the moment, 0-0 at half-time. It's just ticked over. And I can just about see either team's actually had 1 shot each so far. So a game that hasn't had many chances in it.
It's similar to the same story we were creating with Argentina and the Netherlands. They kept drawing, and Spain get a goal in that all-important fixture against Portugal.
Big goal and a big celebration from Andoni.
Well, you see what it means to him. Yesterday, they couldn't buy a goal. Today, they're getting a buy one, get one free. It's beautiful work down the end line, a little ball roll, the resurface, the extra pass. Again, there's nothing about the goals that they're scoring that is that innovative. They're not breaking the system, not as easy on the eyes, but they count. And they're being a lot more decisive. They're putting their opponents under a lot more pressure. And now for Portugal, this is your season. If you're Portugal, I can't believe that we're talking about this back-to-back tournaments where Portugal is likely to not make it out of the group stage.
And Portugal standards, what? 2 outings in the nations, a top 4 and a top 8. It would be terrible if they were to be grouped here.
It'd also be so surprising. Like, no one had this. But no one had Athletic Riders getting grouped last week. One leg doesn't suit this style of play. It really doesn't.
But you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to adjust.
But it's had, when you've had 5 years of constant success, it's hard to adapt. It's very hard to adapt.
That's why I'm not giving the excuse, because they've competed in these one-off games. They've been able to do it previously. There's more to this than just saying, hey, this format doesn't suit you the same way as playing a best of 2.
And they put a lot into it as well. You look in the pod, how many people are in that pod as well, supporting them. World champions in there, coaching them. They believe they can get through from how much they put behind this. And if you, I'm just having a little look around as well. There's a lot of discussions going on now at half-time, and it's going to be a long pause at half-time, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, what, you've got Rodrigo, you've got Francisco Cruz, past FEWC champion, as you like to say, they're in the booth. Let's jump over to Germany against Israel. Still no change in the German side, still and Levy Finn as it stands. However, they are 1-0 down against Israel, who are steamrolling ahead to top this group. Here's the goal they scored. And here's Roy Feldman and Yuval Belli looking to make it 9 points from 9 on day 2.
That's lovely work. You see the La Croqueta into a cancellation with the shot finish. Just gives you a bit of a half second to kind of allow yourself to push the goalkeeper out of position.
Group C is getting very, very mixy, as you might say at home. Spain leading Portugal 1-0, and there has been a goal between Australia and Singapore. We said a draw doesn't suit any nation. We said a draw doesn't help any nation. Which way has it gone? Australia and Singapore. It has gone the way of the Aussies. Build up on the edge of the box. Slight rebound. Just cut it back. Great feet as well. And Australia lead Singapore 1-0.
Couple quality step overs, and you see that reverse elastico, shifts the defense, easy finish after that, line it up, set it up, do the business. And the reason all this is so important, not only can Portugal not lose this game, I don't think they can draw against Spain either. They have to win the game. So I'm thinking 55th minute, and I'd love to see it back as one of the main features, because I think they're going home. I think we're saying farewell to Portugal if they're not able to forge some sort of comeback against Spain.
Follow this attack quickly.
Hey, I called it out. I told you to switch it. We got a goal in that game.
To nothing. We have had a goal in Portugal against Spain. We'll give it to you as soon as we can. There was a long, long break. That's one thing you can know about Portugal. They'll happily pause the game and enjoy the full 90 seconds, included at half-time. Portugal have scored, we are hearing. And here is the goal. They've got them off their feet, roaring back in this game. I think you're absolutely right. Worst possible result in this game is a draw, especially if Australia or Singapore are going to pull away with 3 points.
I mean, when you start to look at the group, there's 9 points left to play for. A Singapore loss, an Australia win, 10 points Singapore, 10 points Australia. A draw puts Spain to 8, Portugal to 6. Portugal's still in a bad position. Portugal have to win this game.
That's what I just was saying, and that's I'd like this to stay as a focus match, because I really feel this is an elimination game. I don't know that any of the other matches are at that point of magnitude. We're getting close. We're getting into the nitty-gritty, but if Portugal's not able to win this game, I don't even think a draw, like you said, does enough for them to put them in a position where they can control their destiny.
Well, Brazil, though, in that group, as we can stay with Portugal, Spain, though, Brazil have just got the opening goal there. Turkey and Brazil were on the same points, actually, Mike, heading into this match. And Brazil have just got the better of the side who were topping, actually, weren't they, heading into day two. Turkey. Took a while for it to come, though.
We keep seeing that usage there. I wouldn't mind watching that goal if Alex has that lined up. You see Savic on the back post, love a knockdown. It's all about, again, understanding those matchups, taking advantage of them. And we see these knockdown goals being so effective, especially in a 2v2 format where you can synchronize and simultaneously move players.
And I don't want to say it was just a one-day performance, but Turkey, 9 points that they played today, they've only got one. They did all the work on day one, but...
And good on them, though. They put themselves in a position to push through.
But it leaves you in a very, very unsure situation of, is it going to be day one Turkey or day two Turkey that turns up on the knockouts? That's the situation they find themselves in. I'd much rather, if I'm finishing on 15 points after the group, pick up 7 and 8 rather than 13 and 2 on my 2 days. I'd rather have a consistency level that's pretty balanced at a 7 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10 performance, and I know I've got a 2 out of 10 performance in my locker.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would hate to have such a bad day at the office on day 2.
Wow.
And then have to try and back it up.
Wow,
Mike,
wow,
you've
wow.
found some magic.
You might have heard some reactions in the room. This is going to be big for the Peru game. And it's going maybe a little against the grain, at least from what we've seen today. Peru, of course, facing off against South Africa. South Africa went up to start out the matchup, but Peru has been battling back. And they've just taken the lead in that affair as well. We'll see if we're getting a little bit of a highlight. I'm kind of watching the instant replay on one of our program screens here as we push back to the Spain and Portugal game. But as Rich was kind of hinting at, we're getting into building out these groups, and a lot of the teams that have needed results have gotten results, which just causes the drama to unfold in a way that's going to give us a bit of that soap opera type feel.
Well, India, they want a draw, don't they, in that game that Mike was just talking about with Peru and South Africa. That would massively benefit the sides who are currently beating Sweden. Only 4 minutes left in that game as well, which is such a massive 3 points for India there, Brandon, if they were to be able to do that.
Massive. I think, look, the Peru-South Africa game is a 6-point within itself. Whoever wins that goes the same point tally as Sweden if they were to lose this game to India. This win would put India on 8 points, so the group would basically look like from 3rd down to 6th. It would be Sweden and Peru both on 9. South Africa obviously at the bottom of the pile, and India on 8 points in 5th. So it continues to move around. Here's the goal that we're going to show you now from Peru. That put them in the lead. We heard a massive roar, as we said, just in the corner of the studio. After being 1-0 down to South Africa early on, ball just pops in at the perfect time.
Left it light.
It's what you do with the finish. 6 minutes left to be played there. Are we looking for a big 3 points for Peru? We'll try and follow this one out. It looks like we've got a full-time. India will beat Sweden by a goal to nil. That's 3 defeats in a row for Sweden.
And Sweden are now amongst it. Brandon just ran us through the maths there, but 1 point between three teams, 3 nations as it stands. 1 win between 3rd and 6th. If results go this way as well, it's going to get unbelievably tight and nervy in this last couple of games here. Nations will be getting eliminated. We're going to go down to the last game. I'm going to tell you right now. It didn't happen earlier on today, but I think we are, and it could come down to goal difference, head-to-heads, and all sort of tiebreaker situations.
What doesn't help them either, Rich, they've got to play Germany. Sweden have to play Germany in their last game today. Remember, there's still 2 more rounds to come after this one. India play Israel again.
Late corner.
Is it? A chance for Peru just to see this one out. They'll take every single second they can out of this one. Added time of 1 minute, get the ball clear.
Listen closely, I think we're going to hear a big reaction as Peru see this game out.
Job done. Peru, big points on the boards. South Africa still on 6 points as it stands. Portugal, Spain, a draw doesn't do anything for either two.
Spain want a winner. They've been very dangerous in this sort of area, in around the box, attacking the byline.
And don't you need, show us what you've got. Added time of 1 minute. Have to get the ball forward. played the added time. Perfect FIFA now from you two. If you want to keep your group stage and your E-Nations dream alive, or not. It's going to be 1-1. It was 0-0 yesterday. It's another draw again today.
It just doesn't help either nation. Spain take it more. Portugal, you've got 6 points left to play for. It might actually be out of your own hands at this point as well. They're going to have to hope that results go their way and they win out. Pick up 6 points and hope that Australia and Singapore start to falter in these last 2 games. Just so surprising. A nation that's so synonymous, a player that's so synonymous in getting through groups, getting the job done, falters 2 tournaments in a row.
And this is where you question, why is he not playing? You have to question it. There's a lot of games here where you can say, yeah, offensively they weren't doing what they should have been doing, but even with the substitutions, they still weren't generating the goals. They weren't generating the opportunities, and Tuchel wasn't playing. He went into coach mode, and I don't love that. He's a big reason that they got here, maybe the major reason. He's the guy that you build around. He should be playing all those matches.
Well, the script was very much written, wasn't it, heading in to the tournament for groups A and B. We predicted it, and it stayed as it was written as well. C and D, yeah, it's going any way possible at the moment. And India, they just got a massive, massive 3 points over Sweden there. And they must be absolutely buzzing, Spen, in that camp.
Yes, well, I'm here with the India guys. How are you feeling after that big win against Sweden?
We feel really great because at the start we were quite confident about our journey, even though day one was not as we expected it to be. But we are at least happy that we are starting to show the abilities we have, and we could get the result against a very strong Sweden side.
Yeah, up to 8 points now. It's a very tight group. You know, you've got Peru and Sweden just ahead of you in 9. By beating Sweden, you kind of brought them back into that race to still qualify. And you've got South Africa just behind you on 6. What is the aim for today?
Aim is to get out of the groups and reach the knockouts, obviously. But we've got Israel up next, so we are not getting carried away after a big win against Sweden. So we know we've got, we need at least 2 more wins, is what we think will help us qualify. So we are looking forward to our game against Israel. At the same time, we are now a bit more confident compared to what it was yesterday.
It's pretty much as tough a game as you could hope to have in the next game. Israel are unbeaten. They're the only unbeaten team left now in the E-Nations. And, well, they've just drawn 3 games and they've won everything else. What's the plan? How are you going to do what no one else has been able to do and beat Israel?
I mean, we do have a plan. Hopefully, we could show it to you in the game. We did surprise Sweden by making a few changes, obviously change in the starting 2 and also the team we played. So we've got a plan. Hopefully we can fulfill what we have discussed and maybe surprise them and give them their first loss.
I won't ask you to tell me the plan now, but afterwards maybe if it's a win I'll come back and you can tell me what it was. But I like that India backing themselves after that win in the last game against Sweden, not scared to change things up, make substitutions, and funnily enough, the team they're playing next is the guys I'm talking to next, which is Israel. A very happy booth right now, for good reason, 18 points, with 2 games to go. I don't know if you know this or not, but you could actually get the highest points total of anyone in the last 2 tournaments. If you win the next 2 games, you have 24 points. No one's done that yet, and no one's gone a whole group stage unbeaten. Is that the target now?
Yeah, of course. As I said to you tomorrow, I'm really confident about our play style. We switch duos all the time, as you can see. Sometimes me and Yuval playing, sometimes Yuval and Nassim playing, and I think that's our biggest advantage, that we have really 2 good duos that can play every single time. And yeah, we want to finish as possible.
Do you think that's the secret to success at E-Nations and 2v2 tournaments in general, is having that extra player that can come in and actually make a difference, where sometimes we see teams quite scared maybe of making a change and they only stick to their same 2 players?
Yeah, I think that the fact that we have one player outside who is actually always really good and ready to come in if there is any, help needed. As I said to you, it's really big advantage because a lot of nations have only 2 players and we have 3, and we use all the 3. So it's not that, one do playing all the group stage and one game we call the other one. We just always do changes, so all the 3 players will be really in form all the time.
It's not guaranteed, but it's looking like you're probably going to win the group now. Is that going to give you a little bit more confidence going into the knockouts? We know we're going to see you tomorrow, whatever happens, and maybe a nicer draw due to the seeding.
Yeah, our goal right now is just to finish first, as you said. As you know, this E-Nations, like the squad, has been drafted, so we want to finish first, have the first choice in draft from the eliminated teams, and that's what we want to do.
Fantastic stuff. Well, listen, you're doing so well. Keep it up, guys. Very, very impressed by Israel so far. And that's something we probably haven't touched on enough. Maybe when we get into the knockouts, we'll ask some more players about it. But is the draft process and the fact that some players will become available once they get out of the groups?
Yeah, thanks so much, Spen, there. We were talking about that, weren't we, as well here, about the fact that they've got 3 really, really strong players and that ability to rotate the players in and out as they please. And no one's the weak link there, are they, for that Israel squad?
No, everyone deserves to be there, and I think it's great that Rory can sort of stand there as the captain and say, we're happy to continue changing it. When they get to the knockouts, I'll be interested to see if that pattern continues, because I don't think it will, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, and we heard from India as well. They go up against Israel next. They said they've got a plan. They need to have a plan. They lost it. They 6-0 yesterday. Let's have a look, though, at some of Israel's goals so far. They've had so many. I mean, you need to count them here, Brandon. I can't remember how many we've seen already today. 4 in their opening matchup today. And then we had them going to 5 against Sweden, didn't we, Mike?
Yeah, we're going to be here for a minute. And I was going to say, even off of India, they have a secret plan. They didn't want to share it with you. As you see, goal on goal on goal from Israel, and a variety as well. You're whipping in crosses, you got some of the skill moves, you got quick passing, they're working the end lines. I love the La Croqueta into the cancellation with the finish. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing that again from maybe Alex. I know he's been setting up a bunch of clips. I don't want to steal your send over to him, but there's quite a few different goals from that round that I think are really interesting from the competitive side, and some of the details that really make a big difference, that separate players that are intermediate to players that are advanced to players that are advanced to even being a pro player.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we had 10 goals in the end from Israel today. They conceded just 1 as well. We did have a great goal as well from South Africa early on. We thought that may have given them the lead, but unfortunately it wasn't to be, as they did get pegged back by Peru. But Alex does have that opening goal, I believe, from that fixture. Alex, I'm going to sit back, because I believe you have a few different analysis bits to bring us. So I think I'm going to put the microphone down and hand it over to you.
Well, yeah, everyone get their notepad and pen out and strap yourselves in, because we're going to go over a few goals and moments of magic from multiple teams here at the FIFA E-Nations. Let's jump into the first goal, though, for South Africa. This was all about being aggressive in that press. You can see immediately Van Dijk is up against Pogba, making it really uncomfortable for Peru to play out. A difficult pass for Pogba to receive from his teammate of De Ligt. Van Dijk wins that ball on that big press, and then watch how Van Dijk constantly makes this run into that area. If you can put numbers into the box, you're going to give yourself those chances. Now we have an opportunity where we have 2 players, Van Dijk there, and at the top of the screen, Pogba. What does that mean for Mbappe? Well, it means you've got options. You can go for a pass, top side, bottom side, take your pick. However, this is where Bianchi and Caden are a little bit different. They can use them as bait, and instead they'll go for that elastico and just take that shot. A brilliant, brilliant finish. Unfortunately, though, for South Africa, Peru came through with that victory. Into our next game, we saw Portugal and Spain. Spain looking a little bit different today with what they have given us in that attacking area, being quicker, being more precise and more direct. Same time again, if you remember in that last analysis, we saw the same thing from Spain. They look for that pass into that middle, and this is where so many players are expecting the ball to maybe come into this sort of area. And that's exactly what Portugal do. They give that space back in that area for that reverse ball to come back into Henry. Now it still looks, for Portugal, a pretty good position. You've got Henry on that edge of the box. You've got your defensive line where you need to be. You've got 5 inside the box with your defenders, and then your 2 midfielders sitting deep. And this is where we know Neat and Andoni, they can excel in that area. Henry just driving it past the man, a beautiful, beautiful goal. But Portugal weren't done just yet on that. They wanted to bounce back and put up a big fight. We saw Tuga come in, and they did that as well. Musiala out on that right wing. Klosterman just couldn't sort that feet out. And this is the difference that we're seeing a little bit more direct as well from Portugal. They're saying, we're not going to try and overcomplicate this. We're not going to go back. We're just going to see that space in front of us, and we are going to look to drive. The step over is one of the most simplest skill moves for you to use on FIFA 23, and that way Van Dijk and Lloris just can't get there. And then, yes, Mike, you mentioned it. We're not going to miss this goal. This is the one I was waiting for. For yourselves at home, 2v2, this is where you can have so much advantage using players like Milinkovic-Savic, Petr Cech, anyone with height at that back six. Isolate up against a player that maybe isn't the same sort of stature as Milinkovic-Savic, you are going to win that. Look at him just lurking there at that back stick. Make sure you don't go for that shot though. It's going to be very difficult for him to get that header off there and shoot. So what do you do instead? You try and look for a simple layoff to someone else. And that's exactly what Brazil did, towering over the defender, and then Mbappe with the step overs, time and time again, proving to be a lovely treat. So some fantastic goals, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. Back over to you, Rachel.
Yeah, thanks so much there, Alex. There were so many goals that we were treated to, and your breakdowns are absolutely fantastic, as well as we saw a couple of those. But the table toppers in Group C, Brazil, looking pretty confident so far. They go up though, don't they, against Spain next. Spain, how are they feeling about that one? I'm sure they're less worried than our Spanish side.
Yeah, it's a positive mood here. I think they especially like just watching their goal back on the big screen there. 3 wins in a row today, only 1 defeat so far. I feel like, weirdly, considering you're Brazil and you're the current champions, you've kind of gone under the radar a little bit, because we've been talking about how Israel are undefeated still in the other group, but that's quite a good way to be, isn't it? Slowly, quietly doing your thing, 17 points, looking very good.
Yeah, I think yesterday we played good, but of course we could be better always. And today we are doing very well. And for the next games, we will be the same.
Talk to me about the privilege you get from representing Brazil, you know, nationally, and also maybe the pressure that comes with that, because it is such a famous football country, such a hard country to get to represent. You know, so many great, talented people in Brazil, and the fact that you're the reigning champions as well just makes it even more pressure, doesn't it?
I don't think so. I think we have like an experienced squad here, so we are here for all the games that we're gonna play. And that's it. We don't have like any pressure here.
Okay, nice and relaxed from the guys in Brazil. Listen, we know you're going to make it out the groups now. It's just a case of whether Turkey could potentially catch you, but the odds are slightly against them. Have you started to think about tomorrow and who you might play?
I think if you are in tournaments like that, you cannot choose opponents. You just need to be focused in our gameplay, and I think we are, and we are ready for our opponents that we're going to play against.
Great stuff. Keep up the good work. Keep scoring goals like the one we just saw on the big screen, and I'm sure they'll be doing very well. Could they even be back-to-back champions?
I'd absolutely love to see that. I'm sure the whole couch would as well. Spen, Aggie's just joined us. Again, Aggie, the question that Spen just asked Brazil there was, do they like to go under the radar, or they like to be kind of, I guess, talked about as much as we are Israel? How did you used to like being?
I mean, it's a mixed combination, but because as a player, you always want to get that recognition, you want to get that attention, but on the other hand, it also means for some added pressure, so it's a hard balance, but I think we should definitely not overlook Brazil. Obviously, they've been performing for quite a while now, so I think they'll win that group.
It gives you the confidence, doesn't it, being talked about, but sometimes in the groups you like just to fly under the radar until it gets to crunch time tomorrow, of course. Well, let's just remind everyone at home of the standings in Group C and D, with only 2 more matches to go, 6 maximum points available for all these sides competing then. Brazil, we just heard from them, going under the radar slightly, but still topping the table. Turkey then top the table coming into today, have now dropped to 2nd, and Australia and Singapore are trying to chase down a few more points to keep in the top 4, which does guarantee you automatic qualification for tomorrow. Spain and Portugal still struggling. Spain then go up against Brazil, Portugal go up against Australia. Group D then, Israel, we've been talking about them a lot. They've only actually got 1 more point than Brazil. They're sitting ahead of Germany on 14. Then I don't really know what to make of this. Sweden, Peru, India and South Africa all still in with a chance. This is going to go down to the wire just as the games start as well for our 4th round of fixtures today and the 9th round for all these sides. 6 points, I've just said, maximum available for these last 2 fixtures. Is anyone going to get the maximum points, or are they going to drop them left, right and centre? Points needed for Spain and Portugal, crucial points needed for those. Spain then taking on Brazil, and Sweden, Peru. Sweden then again, Aggie, I'll bring you on this one as well. You've been watching, I'm sure, behind the scenes. Sweden now have Ololito back in. Haven't managed to find something here today.
I think it's a very different day for Sweden compared to yesterday. Obviously didn't get a good good start at day 2 here, but with 3 players like them, the 3 Ollies, surely they're going to find a way. They're just too solid to not to. Maybe they want to feel a little bit of that pressure here, because it's been sloppy today.
Yeah, it really has, hasn't it? They haven't found anything today, but in the same group, someone who's found quite a lot of the German side, as they get an early goal here, Rich.
Yeah, no real surprise. Granted, there could have been a late resurgence for South Africa, but Germany, Levi, Finn and Ummet, they've played all the matches today and they've been pretty outstanding, it's got to be said. As for Sweden, they've gone back to the duo that they ran for the majority of games so far. Olilito has stepped out and Optoli and Oliboli back in the hot seat. Portugal versus Australia. This is where my attention is going to be. If Australia beat Portugal, they are 99% in. And it also means Portugal...
They're clear. They're
pretty
clear,
much
13
they're-
points.
But they're
99% out.
Yes, that, on the other side.
Okay.
So it's a huge game, but one nation that won't lie down is Portugal. Tuga is back in. Tuga doesn't like being grouped, and him and Jafonso lead 1-0.
And the reality is, across the board here, we have some matchups that are going to be deciding here. Germany going up against South Africa. South Africa has to win that game if they want to make a push into Group D. Sweden, I would say they're a must-win portion as well, going up against Peru, because their last game is up against Germany, and we know that taking points off Germany hasn't been easy, and Sweden's been out of form. You don't want to leave things up to that last result.
Well, I think this is going to be mission impossible for South Africa, because look, they play Germany now, they're 2-0 down in 40 minutes, and then next game they have to play against Israel. So for South Africa, maybe too big of a mountain to climb. Over to Peru against Sweden now. Sweden 3 games in today, 0 points collected so far. They are desperate to pick something up against Peru, who are also on 9 points too, as it stands.
But they still control their destiny. They just have to win this game. This is a decider for both Peru and Sweden in terms of the likeliness of them getting through Group D.
Got a huge game currently taking place between Spain and Brazil. Brazil are in. Great finish there from Sweden. It has to be said, we just saw the back end of that goal. They've had a lot of pressure on them today, but when it matters most, picking up points, Sweden look to be. Spain and Brazil. Brazil are through. Brazil are flying, just looking to top the group. Spain must win. If Spain aren't picking up 3 points, could be one game too soon.
And maybe one game too many for Olilito. He's subbed back out on the bench again, Aggie, so maybe that illness is getting the better of him. And yeah, going back to the pairing we've seen quite regularly feature over the last 2 days.
Yeah, but maybe they just decide to go back and stick to what worked kind of yesterday for them, or at least got the points that they needed yesterday.
It did work. I think you can say it worked yesterday.
Exactly, and they're winning now as well, so maybe that's what they're going to stick to for now. I'm sure they're going to bring in Olilito again, because he's a brilliant player and important for the team. But in these situations here, it's just natural to think that, okay, Optole and Oliboli got the points yesterday. Let's just go back to that, back to basic.
Well, when you're struggling as well, sometimes you just go towards repetition. Who's played the most? Can they bounce back? We just had a significant break, which I also feel plays a factor. If you're not playing that well, that 10, 15 minutes, whether it's a bathroom break, a team talk, just not being as focused in the game can allow you to kind of gather your thoughts. And it makes it where it doesn't feel as if you're going back to back after a bad loss, after a bad loss, after a bad loss, because that's kind of been the theme of Sweden today, is they have not gotten any points on the board.
And Oliboli and Optole, of course, have played a lot in club competition together, so they're a partnership that we know very well, and they know each other very well as well.
Well, there's been a goal in the Germany game against South Africa. We said it was already a bit of a mountain to climb. That mountain becomes even bigger now. 30 minutes in, we said, if Germany found their duo. I think they have now. Ummet and Levi Finn looking superb here in day 2. There's also another game that I want to keep a close eye on, because it can tell the story in that group. Singapore against Turkey, mainly because if Singapore win, with how Australia are losing currently as it stands also, it just shakes things up even more so.
We've only got 6 points left to play for. as well, and the gap, Portugal to Singapore is 4 points. Portugal to Australia is 4 points. Spain to Singapore is 2 points. Whoever wins in this next round almost seals their fate. If Singapore get a win against Turkey, they're in. If Australia can pick up a win, they're in.
To make this more
It's
simple,
in your own hands.
to make this even more simple, basically, Portugal can only attain maximum 6 points, and they're only at 6 points, so 12 total. And if Singapore or Australia get the win, as Rich was saying, they'd be on 13. So that guarantees at least going through. There's not enough points available for the guys that are chasing them. Spain has to forge some sort of upset here against Brazil. That's also the reality. We're just running out of time.
The difference that could play a factor with Australia not picking up any points, Spain drawing at the moment, Spain play Australia in the last game. So that could be a direct swap, that could be a direct switch over. Whoever wins gets the spot.
I'm hearing what you're putting down. I'm not mad at that, or I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm understanding what you're saying. It's not Darwin's theory, it's Rich's hypotheticals.
He loves them,
I'm
doesn't
gonna write a book.
He loves them.
Permu Rich.
Well,
I don't think that worked.
It's good so far, isn't it?
Let's
And
try
Spain can hold Brazil to this draw for as long as possible, and then maybe come out the last kind of minutes of the game. We've seen that happen quite a lot, especially when it comes to this time in the competition.
We should say with that potential situation when you're dealing with Spain and Brazil, other results in this same round matter for that to potentially work. You need some helpers.
This matters.
100%. A draw here. I mean, Turkey are in. They're in. I don't want to say they're not really playing for much because they want to win every game, but they're not. Like, they're in. They can't drop out, but they're probably not going to catch Brazil either. Like, they're just seeing their games out. You probably want to play Turkey, in all honesty, in that last game where there's not that much on the line for them still to play for.
Yeah, Spain and Portugal here want Turkey to do them a favour, really, don't they? And take points from Singapore.
Well, it hasn't been great, has it, from Turkey today? 1 point from
very
9.
cool.
We keep saying about it, this storyline of the group stages. Day 1, you could be terrible. Day 2, you could be great. Or day 1, you could be so good that you pretty much get the job done. Then day 2, you come and you get 1 or 2 points, and that's enough to get you through.
But similar storyline, isn't it, to Sweden? They are currently leading just as we start in the second half for them against Peru. First time we've seen them in that driving seat today, Rich.
Yeah, and a much needed victory as well, just to get themselves back on the horse, really, and just a bit of confidence going. A nation that we've spoken a lot about today, Israel, we've not mentioned in this last round. That's because they're drawing 0-0 against India. I think India have kept Israel to the longest period where they've not scored a goal, and should be very proud of their own achievements as well. India, every single game they've been in, they've been competitive. They've just not been able to capitalise on some of those performances.
I mean, this is great considering we had 6 go past India yesterday in the same fixture. If they can keep it to a draw, this is one of the best performances that anyone has had against the Israeli team. I don't want to talk too much about it now because I feel like the commentator's curse will come into play, because I'm willing India to do well here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, as you said, than their 6-0 defeat yesterday. There's been a goal in a really important game, Spain against Brazil. Give you the lowdown on that one. Spain fighting for a top 4 place. Brazil were just trying to continue this form to top the group, and they shall do exactly just that. Keepers on the floor. Everyone's on the floor. The ball's bouncing around. It's very fortunate, but Brazil are going to take the goal all day long.
I love the build-up. Don't necessarily love the finish. Gets a little scrappy there in the box, but the fake body feint where you don't change your direction is just another one of those maneuvers that you can introduce that baits players out of position. You can make somebody jump, make somebody react, push some instincts, and it also reminds me of the throwback FIFA days.
Just call it a lapel special. I know exactly which. I know exactly what you're referring to.
Oh my goodness, what a finish! And if you're a Spanish fan, that hurts. That hurts here. We also have, just to go around what's happening alongside some of these matches. Portugal beating Australia now gets even more interesting. We've tried to write them off on multiple occasions, but they're kind of hanging on here. We've got Singapore and Turkey tying or drawing 1-1, which would, in theory, then give Singapore 11 points if it stays this way, but still gives Portugal a lifeline depending what happens in that final game.
Huge implications. There has been a big goal here in Group C. It's between Turkey and Singapore. Which way has this goal gone? It's going to have ripples across the entire group, and it's gone to second place Turkey. Singapore, as it stands, will be taking 0 from this matchup. They'll be stuck on 10 points, and Turkey will edge closer to the top. There is maths to be done, and Mike LaBelle is going to take us through it.
Hey, hold on. Rich, the permutation man, or permutation man. I'm just going to start making up new words to go with this. Is it possible, I think that it is, that Singapore and Australia go out, and that Portugal and Spain flip with them?
Spain would play Australia in the final game.
And
a
Australia's
straight
losing
win puts them on 11 points.
A straight win will flip them.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And Portugal play Turkey in the final round. Portugal would need to win. Singapore play Brazil. Brazil would need to win.
It's likely that Brazil wins that game.
However, we've had a goal.
Okay, tell me more.
It's between Brazil and Spain. Brazil were leading 2-0. The Spaniards will not go quietly. They find a goal back in this game. It's now 2-1, and Spain, even a draw. I know we've said this a lot over the last couple of weeks, that draws mean nothing. A draw means a lot in this game right now.
I cannot believe the potential scenario that we're in. I think I heard Swedish behind me. I don't speak any Swedish, but I know what it sounds like, and I think they had a penalty from the Sweden game. Have they doubled their lead? Did they convert that penalty? This would also solidify position for them, even on an off day. It would allow them to push through. They haven't been in form. It hasn't been clicking. The collaborations and the substitutions really haven't been working that well. But at the end of the day, they only needed one win due to how they performed yesterday. Or they only needed very few points, is what we should say. Here's well, we're going back into the Brazil-Spain. I thought we might get a glimpse of the penalty. Either way, it was converted, and it allows Sweden to be in more of the driver's seat. And again, 12 points in that group, based on what's been happening, should push them through.
Group D is going to have an unbelievable round 5 if it stays the same as well, because Peru will take on India. This win will take Sweden on to 12. Israel.
Spain, sorry, Brandon. Spain are in. Spain, 2-2. Don't count the Spaniards out. Wow.
What is going on?
Well, they go level, don't they, now with Singapore and Australia as well. They go over it, actually, don't they? Oh, no, level. 9 points the Spanish side get. 10-10 is Australia and Singapore, because they are losing both the games there. Yes, they are. Portugal will jump up to 9.
As it stands,
they'll be on the same, Rich.
Unless Spain turn this game around, it's a very simple last round for Spain and Australia. Whoever wins gets a spot. And that is where we're at. Portugal still have a little bit of work to do. They are leading 1-0 against Australia at this current moment. Brandon, very quickly, you're saying Peru and India are basically in a playoff.
I'll tell you the lowdown. As it stands right now, Israel will top the group. 21 points after this result currently. Germany will be on 17, Sweden on 12, Peru will be on 9, India remain on 8.
The Aussies!
Every
time I'm talking about Group D, there's more drama back in Group C.
What is happening? We talked about Group A and B. They followed the book. They were by the book. Well, this time around, we're in the clouds. We're dealing with dreams. This is what dreams are made of. You can't choose it. Everything's back and forth. Every goal that matters does shift the group again. We've got so much math going on. Rich has 2 pens.
Got 12 tabs open.
I don't know what's happening.
I feel like we just keep saying things and it changes, so we're just not counting numbers until we get to the half-time.
Well, you have to. We got to play the game. They're calculating. We're calculating.
But then we keep getting it wrong, and I get it wrong, and you get it wrong.
No, we're putting hypotheticals, so we're not wrong. They're potential scenarios based on results that have not finished.
Well, it's back to a point then for Portugal and Australia. That's right at the moment, for maybe the next 2 minutes, Mike.
South Africa have just got a goal. We won't show you it. The score is 3-1 to Germany still, but that goal could do something on the goal difference, potentially, how these games shall end. Turkey still leading Singapore by a goal to nil. Added time to come in this one. Any second now, are Turkey about to see this one out, or double the leads. They have the last chance of the game. 1 minute added time. It should be. Adding another 3 points onto their tally in Group C. South Africa have just scored again. 3-2. There's 2 minutes left in that one.
Maybe we want to see that now, Brandon. We didn't
Let's
want to see it earlier.
Let's jump over to it. 2 minutes left, 88 minutes on the clock if we can join it live. Germany, South Africa. Turkey have just bagged a second on the last kick of the game. Singapore now, as you can see, they know that there's so much to play for still. Well, South Africa, as we said, scored 2 goals. This was the first one they scored. 84 minutes on the clock. Lovely little cancel fake shot inside.
Give us the Spain-Brazil game. 3-1 Germany, they're going to wrap that up. Give us the Spain versus Brazil game.
It's 3-2 though, Germany, South Africa. That's why
They
it
still
got
need
exciting.
to turn it. They need to win it. This is the situation. We got 10 minutes left.
We need Portugal as well.
We need Portugal's on the pause screen. We know Portugal loves the
South Africa's going
pause.
to finish first. So let's go South Africa, Germany. 88 minutes on the clock if we can go
draw
there.
doesn't do anything for South Africa,
It does do a lot for their round 5 game.
Sorry, production.
Because Sweden's in double digits.
Yeah, there's a 4th place still to play for.
Oh my goodness.
8 minutes remaining. Spain were 2-0 down. They've battled their way back into the game.
Forget South Africa, forget them.
2-2. Do we have a late winner here for Spain? Building up on the edge of the box. Ball surely going to go out wide. Just try and recycle. Fired in field. That pass is weak, but they'll press for the second ball, and Brazil will bring it clear. So that was full time. Germany 3, South Africa 2. That's a result. Sweden leading 2-0 against Peru. That's got a decent bit of time left, 12 minutes. We'll stick on this game because it's going to end first.
India have just equalised as well in Group D. That will put them on 9 points and Peru on 9 points. And Peru play India in round 5. Stay with this one for a split second. Spain against Brazil, as we said. Spain were 2-0 down in this game. They came back into it. And they're going to get the last chance of the match.
1 additional minute. Got to go forward. They've been robbed of possession. It's getting a little bit scrappy, and Brazil will bring it clear.
There's a cross
with a
there.
chance to hand, potentially, and break Spain hearts. Cut back! They find a goal. Brazil will take all 3 points. And as that goal has just gone in, there is a seismic shift in Group C because Portugal versus Australia. Australia just gone 2-1 up. They're not leaving it to the last round.
I can't quite believe what we're witnessing here, and neither can Spain.
So they're hearing my voice right now, telling them Australia are winning with 10 minutes left to go.
Brazil are loving life on your screens right now. We're going to jump back over to this matchup between Portugal and Australia. 9 minutes left on the clock. We'll jump backwards a little bit though and see this
Oh my days.
This second goal for Australia, Mike.
Beautiful extra pass. There's been so many shifts, turns, narrative switches, moments, points, calculations. Richard Buckley's.
We've got to show you this moment. We've just got to show you what's happened in this India-Israel game. If we can show you all the highlights from it. India equalised. Remember, that would have put them on 9 points alongside Peru. Remember, they played Peru in the last game. There was also more drama in that game, in the last kick of the game. There was a penalty given away from India. Israel had a chance to win that game. We'll give you the lowdown on what happened in it.
As it currently stands, Australia would go to 13 points. Spain, 8. Portugal, 6. This would be it. This would how it would wrap up. The only team, Australia would be in. Spain would be battling for Singapore for 4th. This is Australia booking their place into the knockouts with a victory.
They said they wanted 1 win and a few draws.
A bit more than that.
Chaotic. That's because we were so calm here, weren't we, in the studio earlier on this morning with groups.
Portugal.
A and B, Portugal, go on,
That's
link
it.
with you. Oh, Portugal lose that one then. Australia, fist pumps all around for the team from down under as Sweden take 3 points from Peru. Peru then sitting in fourth on the same amount of points as India. They drew that tie with Israel there. That was a massive result